Good evening. Ladies and a very appreciated few gentlemen, my name is Peter Mertz, and as head of school, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you here on behalf of Hampton Roads Academy to this very, very special evening. When we were asked if we would be interested in hosting you here this evening, we did not hesitate to give you an enthusiastic yes, by all means. We are excited to have you here and excited about your cause and commitment to our community. Your mission and ours align. Our state states that Hampton Roads Academy prepares students in pre-kindergarten through grade 12 intellectually, artistically, physically, and morally for higher education and for life within an inclusive community of service, compassion, and excellence. I emphasize for you the words an inclusive community of service. I see so many of our alumni and parents in this room. Our volunteer board members serve willingly on many of your boards as well. Our HRA students give over 4,000 hours of community service annually. I'm proud of our part in making the Greater Peninsula a more compassionate and inclusive community of excellence. And I am so grateful for the good work and dedication that this group means to so many. Thank you for being here and welcome. It's my pleasure to introduce to you this evening the co-chairs and co-founders of Impact 100, Courtney Gardner and Brooke Tiller.
So, welcome. We didn't really know what Peter was going to say, but you know what? I'm proud to say, Peter, Brooke and I got the memo because we're both graduates of HRA. So, as a fundraiser in this community, I have grown used to people being very generous here. And it's really hard to dazzle me. But you all have truly dazzled me. So, congratulations. When we envisioned Impact 100 and we dreamed at our launch in September of 2015, we could not have possibly thought that over 150 women would commit to Impact 100. We have some key individuals and organizations to thank, and they are listed in their program. But I would be remiss if I did not thank an amazing steering committee. If you would please stand at this time.
All of you, yes.
And thank you to the Peninsula Community Foundation, who took a risk and dared to dream with us and have been our partner in this process. We are very grateful to Mike Monteith and his staff for their support of our efforts. A special shout out and thank you to the Oyster Pointer and the local Scoop, who helped us to really spread the word, or as I used to say in a lot of our meetings, the gospel. And thank you, each of you as members, for sharing our vision and having faith that we could raise $106,270.43. We raised $106,270.43. You know, Confucius said, "What I hear, I forget. What I see, I remember. But what I do, I understand." We're doing this together, ladies, and Mac. And now you're going to hear from Brooke about what we have to do next. Brooke, the rules, please.
Okay, each of you should have a ballot. One of you has lost theirs. I'm happy to vote for you, But if everyone would please check their ballots and make sure they have them, because we have an extra. According to yours. Okay, so we have an extra ballot if someone discovers it. Here's what's going to happen. I need you to please mark, after you hear all the presentations, first and second place. Do not check them. Do not put an X beside them. First and second place. Don't mark third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Got it? Okay. If you're an individual, you have to wrestle with yourself. If you are a team, you have to wrestle with each other. Understand, we're not going to be here all night long. Okay. You need to come to a decision. When your decision's made, pass the ballots to the left. They will all be picked up. Got it? This, my right, your left. Got it? Without further ado, we are going to start the presentations. You with me? Yes. Okay, on deck first.
So, at this time, I would like to invite the Education Grant Committee Chair, Lori, to come to Susan, to come to the podium.
We're very democratic here, and Lori nominated me.
That was Susan's ballot.
There's my ballot. At this time, I'd like to call Kathy Johnson of Alternatives to come up and make the first presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Kathy Johnson. I'm Executive Director of Alternatives. We're a youth development nonprofit that is housed at Fort Monroe, Virginia, and we also have a satellite office in Newport News, and we serve over 5,000 children on the Virginia Peninsula. In addition, I have with me tonight Ty. Hi, everyone. How are you? I'm a risk-taking child, and I teach children about how to make healthy choices and control their impulses. And also, I have Keisha. Hi, everybody. I'm Keisha, and I teach young children about music and games and dancing and all kinds of fun things that help them to learn through action. And in addition, we have Bob.
Good evening. Well, I saw it tonight on the program. There's a number of good causes here to the funding. You've got a tough vote ahead of you. Let me tell you what this little guy can do. Young children who get the opportunity to engage with a strong curriculum that teaches health, safety, and social skills will be more successful in their later schooling. They'll be less likely to need remedial or special education. They'll be much less likely to drop out, much less likely to become teen parents, and much less likely to run afoul of the criminal justice system. I've been with this guy for 10 years now, right, Al? Mm-hmm. And we've seen this happen. What I'm waiting for is for the next 10 years. These kids will be much more likely to seek a college education, much more likely to own a small business. And recent evidence indicates that as they get older, they're going to live in better health. Now, Alice Palace provides teachers with an engaging and systematic way to teach kids life skills that will follow them on forward into the future. It's going to help them, it's going to help their families, and they will pay a dividend to the community for decades to come. Say goodnight, Al.
Good night, Al.
Thank you, Bob. Bob represents one of the many community partners that Alternatives collaborates with. He is from Fort Eustis, but we also collaborate with other military bases, NASA Langley, faith-based community organizations, faith-based early childhood centers, community centers, city governments, public school systems in Hampton, Newport News, Poquoson, James City County, Head Start. We have over 65 partners as an organization, and we all collaborate together to serve children, youth, and young adults ages 3 to 24 throughout the Virginia Peninsula, especially those living in poverty or those who lack supportive relationships or opportunities where they can really discover the innate strengths, talents, and abilities that resides within each one of us. At Alternatives, our vision is healthy, principled, creative young people, fully engaged and valued by the community. And this is our mission because it represents our absolute core, passionate belief that all children, no matter what their circumstances, have the inherent power and potential within them to impact this world in a creative and powerful way, if we only but help to inspire that potential. And to do so, we focus on developing their social and emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the foundational skill for success in life because we all have to work with each other as you are working with your compadres. In doing so, we know that you build a sense of self-awareness, who you are, what your strengths are. You identify your feelings. You can cope and manage with your feelings. You can make healthy choices and reduce peer pressure. You can stand for yourself and not conform just to be conforming. And you also, therefore, can maintain healthy relationships with other people. These are powerful skill sets, and this is our mission. And what better way to start than in early childhood? So tonight we're asking you to invest in Alice Powell's Kids Making Healthy Choices. It's a model comprehensive prevention program specifically designed for children 3 to 6. In Alice Powell's, young children learn to identify and express feelings beyond just the typical happy, mad, and sad. They learn to distinguish annoyed, frustrated, disappointed, proud, scared. They learn to cope with those feelings by learning to calm down, by learning to brainstorm, by learning to form relationships, and by learning to problem solve and express themselves creatively. They also, since 2006, we have worked with 26 organizations, and those organizations have helped us to embed Alice Powell's within the community. At the beginning of every program year, approximately 25% of newly participating children are high to moderate at risk for antisocial behavior. Sorry. And you will join us in celebrating Alice Powell's.
That was a nice test run. You see how that worked? That's good. Thank you, Kathy. At this time, I'd like to call up, clear up, Sydney Morwick and Heather Livingston of Peninsula School for Autism.
Thank you, and good evening. Peninsula School for Autism, or PSA, is committed to providing students the greatest opportunity to increase independence and reach their full potential through the development and implementation of evidence-based educational and behavioral support programming. The PSA model offers a 1-to-1 student-teacher ratio utilizing empirically validated methodology to teach functional communication, adaptive behavior, social skills, and academics in a year-round school setting. The combination of a low student-teacher ratio, consistency of a 12-month program, and intensive individualized programming through the application of applied behavior analysis in the school setting clearly distinguishes PSA. The United States Surgeon General has endorsed intensive behavioral intervention for individuals with autism. A report of the Surgeon General states 30 years of research demonstrated the efficacy of applied behavioral methods in reducing inappropriate behavior and increasing communication, learning, and appropriate social behavior. This model is considered the gold standard for teaching students with autism to become competent learners while increasing their independence and helping them reach their full potential. PSA is the only school on the peninsula to provide this competent learner model. The school currently serves students ages 2 to 22 from several localities, including Williamsburg, James City County, Gloucester, York County, Poquoson, Newport News, Hampton, Norfolk, Chesapeake, and Virginia Beach. PSA supports best practices for early learners with autism. The combination of scientifically validated therapy and an inclusive educational environment sets the stage for success for all learners with autism. We, PSA, in downtown Hampton Childhood Development Center, are proposing an early intensive behavioral intervention program for children ages 2 to 4 that have an autism diagnosis. This program will provide direct support for young learners with autism in a naturalistic, inclusive setting. Up to 4 children will receive intensive behavioral support programming from a highly trained behavior technician within the Downtown Hampton Childhood Development Center's classrooms. Classroom teachers will receive ongoing support and training from PSA staff. Additionally, parents and caregivers of the students served in the Early Intensive Behavioral Intervention Program will have access to ongoing training to support their child at home and in the community. According to the Centers for Disease Control, 1 in 68 individuals have a diagnosis of autism. Downtown Hampton Childhood Development Center enrolls over 200 students annually in their early childhood programs. Based on these statistics, it's fair to say that at least 3 children at DHCDC have or will receive an autism diagnosis. By embedding behavior technicians into the DHCDC program to provide early intervention services, newly diagnosed children will have an opportunity to receive the gold standard of treatment in a naturalistic, inclusive setting. Early intervention services can vary widely from state to state and region to region. However, the services should address a child's unique needs and should not be limited to what is currently available or customary in a region. Early intervention services are aimed at minimizing the impact of disabilities on the development of a child. Access to EI services may increase school readiness and set the stage for success for young learners with autism. Peninsula School for Autism and Downtown Hampton Childhood Development Center are pioneering a new and innovative best practice program to support at-risk and underserved young learners with autism. Currently, there are no programs on the peninsula that offer early intensive behavioral intervention services using applied behavior analysis programming in the classroom setting. Given the 1 in 68 prevalence of autism, there is a significant need for early intervention services for children of this age. The EIBI program will provide young learners the opportunity to access highly specialized services in an enriched learning environment. Okay, so, thank you. Okay, what's transformational about your project? In closing, I will leave you with a top 10 list of transformational aspects of the Early Intensive Behavioral Intervention Project. It's scientifically validated best practice. It's inclusive. It's innovative. It's community-based. It will give a child a voice. It's therapeutic. It will change lives. It will impact early learners with autism and their family members.
I know that 5 minutes goes very quickly.
So everybody's passionate about their project.
At this time, I would like to invite the 2 co-chairs of the Family and Children Subcommittee to come up, Vivian and Alexis.
As you can tell, we can't do anything without each other. All right, so it is my pleasure. I'll introduce one and you can introduce the second one. It's my pleasure to ask Marcia Hargett and Julie Califer to come to the front, and they're going to share with us the Child Development Resources presentation.
Good evening. My name is Julie Cullifer, and I am the co-founder and executive director of One Child Center for Autism.
And I'm Marcia Hargett, and I'm here tonight representing Child Development Resources. We'd like to take a minute to tell you what people are saying about Kids Night.
The thing I love most about Kids Night is not knowing which children have a diagnosis. They are all just kids having fun with one another. Thank you for giving my husband and me an opportunity to go out. It's the first time in 13 years.
Like most of you in this room, we wear several hats throughout the day. We're professionals, parents, caregivers, and spouses. Tonight we stand in front of you not only as representatives of our organizations, but also as the mothers of children with special needs. Daily, we face the unique challenges and joys of having a child with special needs. We are all too aware of the constant and exhausting struggles with insurance companies, schools, doctors, and therapists. And sadly, we're also aware of the physical, emotional, and financial toll that takes on us, not only as parents, but our entire family. One Child Center for Autism and CDR exists to be an oasis for families like ours, to be the support to help them navigate the different realities that we face daily.
We are here tonight to ask you to help us expand One Child's Kids Night Respite Program. Held at an indoor sports complex and staffed by One Child professionals and an army of volunteers, Kids Night gives parents of special needs children and their siblings a night of qualified childcare. Children are encouraged to run, jump, and play to the best of their ability. Parents are given a night to do as they please. Run errands, go out on a date, get some much-needed rest. Since its inception last year, Kids Night has been an overnight success and received an outpouring of support from our community. Special educators and therapists volunteer their time. The facility generously donates its space and local businesses sponsor each night. However, One Child is an emerging nonprofit. We do not have the resources or capabilities to meet the demand. And as a result, we have a wait list every single Kids Night. With your help and CDR support, we can double the number of children served at each Kids Night, double the frequency of which Kids Nights are held, and include children as young as 1. We will also be able to pay core staff members who are special educators and therapists to lead the group of volunteers each night. With this partnership, we also gain the ability to provide transportation, thanks to CDR's vans, for families who otherwise would not be able to participate. If awarded the Impact 100 grant, we will establish a staff position to help with volunteer recruitment, foster business partnerships, and assure the sustainability of the program.
We will create a sustainable program that can better meet the demand for respite in our community. The need cannot be understated. For families who have children with special needs, the option of leaving their child with a 15-year-old next-door neighbor is not an option. We have to often seek out highly skilled babysitters that charge a rate of $20 an hour or more, and then you have to pay additional fees for siblings. These families are already faced with economic hardships due to the expense of health care and therapies. So a night out is often not an option because they simply cannot afford it or they're not able to justify it. Kids Night is offered for free to children with special needs and $5 per night for the sibling. This partnership is what families need to be an answer for respite, which makes this grant truly impactful to a community that so desperately needs respite care. The key to this project is collaboration. If awarded the grant, our organizations will be able to leverage resources and the time required to build a sustainable program. We believe the model will be successful based on a proven program and CDR's reach already into the community. We just need your help to launch it tonight.
This is not a part of my remarks, but Brooke and I were always friends. Now, how I got this section of the program, I don't know. This just doesn't quite seem fair, but it's okay, Brooke. Paybacks. All right. Next on deck is Vivian, who will be introducing the next family. Actually,
Thank you. And now we will have Sylvia Jones, who is the director of the Mitchell House.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present our summer day camp program. I've been with Mitchell House for about 10 years, and we believe at Mitchell House that everyone should have a clean and safe place to come home to at the end of the long day. Over the past 3 years, we've served over 700 residents. 60% of them have been children between the age of 5 to 14 years of age, school-age children. In my childhood, I remember growing up in Oklahoma, long, hot summers. We were looking forward to the end of the school year, and then we quickly realized what was in store for us. Absolutely nothing. My parents couldn't afford much other than to pay the mortgage and keep food on the table for me and my 12 siblings. As my mother went off to her housekeeping job, the older children were required to keep the younger children, and there was nothing exhilarating about that. I remember once talking to a young lady, and she told me, you can have no impact without contact. And as I come into contact with the children and the families at Menchville House, I relive my childhood every day. I see someone or something in those families that reminds me of my own family. The children at Menchville House are required to be supervised at all times. The parents are asked to go out and secure employment and find affordable housing. In the summer, the children have nothing to do and the parents cannot afford summer camps. So they accompany their parents on these outings for employment. This hinders those parents' ability to secure housing because it sends up a red flag saying that they don't have child care. With summer camps not being an option due to the cost and transportation, many times the parents' productive hours are reduced. They come back and the children sit around all day with nothing to do. We're proposing a 10-week summer camp program that will cover the entire summer. It'll be free to our in-house residents, and the parents will have a safe place to leave their children in a supervised environment with weekly themed activities that will target their intellectual and physical development, and it will be heavily reliant upon free public venues and some venues that incur costs. The program is designed to strengthen the children's intellectual and physical development, improve their self-esteem and self-confidence, enhance their leadership and social skills, and give them a sense of adventure with exposure to recreational alternatives to the computer or the television. We have 3 goals for this program: that the parents will have continued freedom to do house hunting and job searches unhindered, that will engage the children in physical and developmental activities, and it'll be cost effective to the parents as well as to our agency. With the funding, we will purchase dependable transportation. It will cover some salaries, meals, camp supplies, and admission fees to some of the venues off-site, and will heavily augment that with in-kind donations. Sustainment in the out years will be significantly less after the vehicle purchase, and it should be manageable within our current fundraising strategies. Once again, we'll be heavily reliant upon in-kind donations, volunteers, and summer interns. The end result will be summer clients will be just as successful in our program as those other clients that come to reside at Menchville House throughout the year, and the children will have a bright future ahead of them with lots of adventure. So as you can see, you will have an impact by awarding us the funding, by giving the families an opportunity that are residing at our shelter to have just as much of an opportunity to find housing and secure employment, and continue to help us move our families from hurt to hope. We hope that you will vote for us and give these children an opportunity that changes the direction of their life, and they won't have boring summers as I did growing up. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to invite Julia Valvage, my co-chair for the Health Committee, to come to the podium.
Thank you, Courtney. I'd like to start by saying that my circle and I are very excited to be here this year. This year co-chairing the Health Grants Committee, it's been a real pleasure, and we've gotten to meet a lot of really nice people. I'd like to start by introducing you all to Ellen Williams of the Center of Child and Family Services. She's going to speak on behalf of their launch program.
My name is Ellen Williams. I'm the Clinical Director and Director of Behavioral Health Services for the Center for Child and Family Services. We've been serving the poor and uninsured in our community since 1943. We provide 22 different programs and over 40 services to 10,000 people a year. I've worked for this agency for 38 years, one, because I may be crazy, but because I watch and am honored to be a part of our mission of empowering people to improve their lives. Our mission is carried out by giving our clients resources, skills, but above all, hope. Tonight, we're asking for your support to fund a program that helps the youth in our community that most people consider throwaway kids. We're asking you to support our mission of giving these teens and young adults hope that they can be more than they ever imagined they could be. The Launch program helps youth who've been thrown away by their parents and oftentimes by the organizations in our community that can no longer care for them because they're 18 years old, which results in these youth entering the society, our community, with very few skills or support. How many of you have had children leave to go to college or go to work? Can you imagine if they left, but they could never call you again for advice, or they could never call you for emotional or, above all, financial support? They may end up like most of our Launch kids, who are homeless, prostituting, hungry, and incarcerated. The Launch program provides supportive case management so we can help connect them with services, mentoring, life skills training, trauma-informed counseling, emergency housing if they're homeless, job readiness training, and employment referrals, so each one of these youth and young adults can become productive members of our community. After 1 year, your support will not only make a difference in the lives of 35 young adults and teens, but 90% of them will then leave this program having stable housing, 80% will be employed, and 85% will complete their education. But it will also help them provide better homes for their children, so you are also investing in the next generation. The Edgar Cayce Foundation estimates that your investment in each one of these youth will save our community $300,000 over their lifetime in public services. The financial support you give will provide staff time, temporary emergency housing, bus passes so they can attend the Launch activities, but also employment, along with 4 retreat opportunities to help expose the youth to new experiences. The program will be sustained by future grants, agency in-kind investments, and billable services paid by local community agencies. We can already attest that this program has transformed youth over our last 2 years into many people that have now become productive adults. Some of them have completed college, some of them have enrolled in college, some of them are in the process of completing high school, and we never, trust me, we never thought they would. Some of them have joined the military, have become employed, and some have become parents. And above all, they have become loving, caring, appropriate parents. Through your support, this project shows all youth in our community that there are no throwaway kids. Thank you for this opportunity to present our project, but above all, thank you so much for you investing in this community.
Thank you, Ellen. It really was a pleasure to meet you and your staff, yourself, as well as some of the kids you guys helped. Thanks. Next up, I'd like to introduce you all to Leslie Bryant and Mary Elaine of the Metropolitan YMCA. They are going to speak to us on behalf of the Live Strong program that they have within their facilities. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Leslie Bryant. I'm the Director of Association Advancement at the Peninsula Metropolitan YMCA. And we are here to talk to you about the Live Strong at the YMCA program. I want to start off sharing with you an experience I had many years ago. It was the Tuesday night before Thanksgiving. I was in a mad rush, packing, collecting everything for the family to get ready to go out of town for the holiday weekend, when I see a phone call from my friend Diane. To be truthful, I hesitated. Oh my gosh, I'll be on the phone all night. But for some reason, I picked it up. I picked it up very quickly and said, hey, what's up? I was in a rush. Life is fast. I've got to get ready for the holiday weekend. On the other end of the phone, I just heard a person struggling to gather her words, to say to me, it's cancer. Anybody who's ever heard that word, life stops at that moment. I felt like the wind had been knocked out of me. We talked for a few minutes. The only thing I could gather to tell her was, we'll get through this together, as we did. 22 rounds of chemo, 6 weeks of radiation treatments, and 2 surgeries later, Diane was called back to her doctor's office for some great news. Cancer-free. I'll see you in 6 months. That's when Diane's real struggle truly began. They had given her some resources, a huge stack, a huge packet of some information for her own next steps. But for the past 11 months, she had been guided. She had been told, this is what we're doing next. Follow this, their next steps. She had been guided. She had been surrounded by other people battling cancer as well. Even though no one's journey is the same, they all were dealing with the C word together. She said, gosh, I feel really naive. I always thought, you know what, if I went through all the treatments, I had the surgery, I followed through, that once this was all done, my life would go back to the way it was before, and that wasn't to be. The disease and its treatment took a great toll on Diane's spirit, mind, and body. She was very stressed at the financial burden that it had put on her family at that time. The great is need. There's over 13 million cancer survivors living in the United States. 3 out of 4 families were either caring for or will be caring for a person diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. Diane had a very supportive husband, children, family, and friends, but she needed more. The Live Strong at the YMCA program provides cancer survivors 18 years and older individualized program to support their well-being so they can reclaim their health at no cost. In 2014, we partnered with the Live Strong Foundation to be able to begin the program in both the Newport News and Isle of Wight County. Since that time, we've had 150 cancer survivors and their families that have benefited positively from the impact of the program. After the 12 weeks of the program, the participants are encouraged to stay on for monthly support meetings so that it's ongoing from this point on. You do not need to be a member of the YMCA to be part of the Live Strong program, and it's open and free to all. Funding from this grant would help us to expand the program. It would continue in the Newport News and Isle of Wight County. We would expand it to the city of Hampton, to Williamsburg, and York County. Grant funding would also help us to purchase some underwater exercise equipment, such as water treadmills and water bikes. This would be able to help meet some of the individual needs of some of the people that we are caring for. When a cancer survivor is extremely fatigued, the thought of getting up or even getting up to go exercise and participate in a program can be overwhelming. Water exercise provides light resistance and buoyancy in a low-impact workout. A year from now, with the support of this program, 120 additional cancer survivors and their families from the areas of Newport News, Hampton, Isle of Wight County, York County, and Williamsburg will have reclaimed their health and developed supportive relationships. Since we began offering the program in 2014, the results of the pre- and post-functional assessments have reported that 100% of the Live Strong participants have experienced decrease in anxiety, depression, fatigue, and improved physical function. The Peninsula Metropolitan is committed to strengthening our community. As we expand this program to additional communities and we're able to gather impact and gather stories, that will further help us to reach out to donors and local leaders to support us.
The Live Strong program addresses cancer survivorship. It's all diagnoses of cancer from brain, breast, colon, prostate, etc. All people, all different stages of recovery. It addresses the physical fitness of the body, but it also addresses the emotional and spiritual component. During the group sessions, you become an expert as you share your personal journey of how you learn to cope with cancer. Other times, you are the learner, listening to your peers as they too share how they learn to cope with cancer. As Alessia said, it does not just stop with the 12-week program. We have a monthly program where we continue to reinforce these relationships, providing advocacy, advice, and support. You become just not someone that's diagnosed with cancer, but you become a winner. You become a winner in that you have learned how to overcome cancer.
us into your facility and introducing us to your dedicated participants looking to improve their health.
Okay, the hard part begins. Pull out your ballots, argue with yourself, argue with your teammates. It's time to vote. Sign your name. That's the one thing everybody's asking. There's a spot on the bottom. Please print your name in case we can't read something. Remember, 1 and 2. Pass them to the left, please. The nonprofits, we're going to ask you to sign your name.
You're going down the hall. We're all going to trade. The nonprofits that are in the auditorium, not on the podium, I think your groups are going to exit to the hallway. Okay, Alexis says you need 5 minutes.
These are all in different seats. They put the seat next to your thing. I was like, what's the seat? But then I could ask them, but I couldn't.
That's easy working for you.
Well, no, that's, yeah. I mean, yeah. So you can have them home. Yeah, I mean, yes. And again,
Please raise your hand if you need more time. All right, so Alexis is the only one.
I mean, this is
All right, I'd like to call Tammy Flynn to the front.
about it. And I did overcome my This is huge. This is but the need for summer programs for kids in poverty, or not, I'm just in poverty, but not, but these it's just something for them to do.
All right, is everybody's vote in? Okay. 2 minutes.
No, we voted.
All right, Courtney's got the clock, 1 minute, 11 seconds.
You got 40 seconds to please reach your conclusions and turn in your ballots.
While we're waiting, the last 18 seconds, please note that you have a membership form in your packet for next year. Five, four, three, two, one. Ballots in? All right, guys. That's a wrap. All right, the counters are going to go take off right now. On behalf of the Impact 100 Steering Committee, you've heard us thank Peninsula Community Foundation. I'd like to call Tammy Flynn up here to say a few words on their behalf.
Congratulations, you guys. It's amazing to watch this, and so quick, too. When Brooke and Courtney came to the Community Foundation at first with their vision for Impact 100, we were so thrilled that someone was going to initiate a giving circle, and we wanted to give support in any way that we could. We immediately agreed to manage the fund for them, and then of course happily it's our honor to sponsor the event tonight. And it's just been amazing to watch. And less than 9 months, it seemed like. You have over 100, almost 100 donors give $100,000. You really need to give yourselves a hand. That's amazing. It shows us that philanthropy is really hungry on the peninsula, and we're just thrilled to see it. And this is just the beginning, too. Your giving circle, this is the very beginning of it. It's going to grow exponentially as you go out and tell your friends and other people about it. And the impact you can have is unlimited. I mean, look at tonight through this process, you heard about the pressing needs, some of the pressing needs, just some of the pressing need on the peninsula. And because you've gone through the process, you're now more thoughtful and informed philanthropists. And that's what the peninsula needs, is more thoughtful and empowered philanthropists. So thank you for going through the process. We are, again, thrilled to be a part of it, and we can't wait to see what you're able to do in the months to come. So congrats again, and thanks.
For those who don't know, Peninsula Community Foundation was literally our technical support and our backstop. We are not a new nonprofit. They cover everything for us, so that's a big help from them. I'd next like to introduce Tracy Shackelford, one of our steering committee members, who's going to introduce our special guest this evening.
Incredibly exciting. And as I was telling somebody tonight, I think Vivian Blake, I said, never once did we doubt we would raise $100,000. Right. That was so thank you. And to the women of Williamsburg and all of you, they always say the opposite of fear is faith. And I think you all had faith. We all had faith in something that we didn't know. It's something we'd never seen. And our guest tonight is going to show us a little bit about what an impact grant can do. So a few minutes from now, and next year we're going to actually hear from our grantees this year, which will be great. But I'm going to talk to you about the Children's Home Society of Virginia that actually received a grant from Richmond almost 18 months ago. So Children's Home Society is the oldest adoption agency in the state of Virginia. They have a theme or motto, which is every child deserves a home. And the way they use their impact money from the 2015 granting cycle really puts that into place. So hopefully our special guest can really bring that forth. So our special guest tonight is Bruin Richardson. He is a recovering attorney. Sorry, Allison. He's the Chief Development Officer with the Children's Homes, oh gosh, I'm so hard, CHSV, right? Children's Home Society of Virginia. And he has a lot of litigation experience. He has deep ties to Williamsburg, which is funny, I learned tonight. So his son actually, and Newport News, his son goes to CNU, and his wife is from Williamsburg, his wife's family. And he's going to talk about how they partnered with another organization to help foster kids aging out of the foster system, something that I think none of us knew actually happened when they spoke earlier. So, Bruin, put on your pink boa.
Yes, ma'am.
Join us.
Thank you. I was informed when I was asked to do this that I was chromosomally challenged, and that I have diverse chromosomes. I think this is going to make me itch a little, so maybe we'll put it over here. Oh, okay. This is going on Facebook, right? So, I always say, and when I took on the role of Chief Development Officer at Children's Home Society, we also had an all-female staff at the time, and our Chief Marketing Officer and I took our roles at about the same time. And so I've always said that this is my one and only chance to actually bring diversity. And so I'm doing the best I can. As Tracy said, I'm really delighted to be here. I had the opportunity to go see my son over at CNU, who was a freshman at CNU, first time I've seen him since we dropped him off. And when I did that, it really reminded me of the importance of what we're doing with what we call the Possibilities Project. Because the kids who age out of foster care don't have those connections. They don't have a parent to go visit them at school if they're lucky enough to be there, if they're lucky enough to be in any stable society at all. As you heard earlier, these kids who age out of foster care, 20% of them end up homeless, 25% end up incarcerated within a couple years, 70% of the young ladies end up pregnant within 2 years. The stats are just completely disheartening. And about 2 years ago, our CEO, Nadine Marsh-Carter, and the CEO of the Better Housing Coalition in Richmond, Greta Harris, got together and decided, we've got to do something about this. Virginia, you may not know, is 50th in the country in the percentage of youth who age out of foster care. And first off, we just can't have that, and we've got to fix that problem. But we know that we can't fix that problem overnight. So the Possibilities Project was born. And it was born as an idea, that then received funding to do research and find out what best practices were and design the program. And that process took about 6 months or so, maybe a little bit longer. And at that time, we heard about Impact 100 in Richmond. And what Impact 100, what we learned was that there was money out there that might let us get this program off the ground. And what it does is it provides housing, it provides educational support, it provides mental health counseling, because think about these kids who are in foster care and then age out. Well, they got in foster care for a reason. And they got there because they had been subjected to trauma, or they had been neglected by their parents, or both. And when these kids are in foster care, they then stayed in foster care, and they never were adopted by a family. And so when they age out of foster care, many of these young people just fall off a cliff. And so there's an additional element of trauma. And so it's very trauma-informed therapy that we give on a daily basis to these young folks. We help them with their education, and importantly, we help them with a plan. How many of these kids, and they'll all tell you, whoever came to us and said, boy, you know, we really want to work with you to find out what you want in life and how we can help to get you there. We do that. And we work with these young adults to help them develop a plan and then stay on the plan and get to the next step of being a productive member of society. And so what did the Impact 100 money do for us? Well, we had the plan, but what we didn't have was the money to implement the plan. And the money that we got, which was $100,000 from the Richmond Impact 100 group, allowed us to go hire the staff that could allow us to implement the project. It allowed us to go put together the housing with the help of the Better Housing Coalition so that we could house and we could furnish the housing. And the young folks, we asked them, you know, what do you like? What are your likes and dislikes? What colors do you like? And we decorated the housing in such a way that it took their needs and their wants into consideration. And for a lot of these young folks, they'd never had that before. One of our folks said, when asked, how was your first night in your new home? And they said, it was the best night of my life. That's the kind of impact we want to have. And the Impact 100 money gave us the opportunity as essentially a startup new operation under our umbrella and the Better Housing Coalition's umbrella to make that kind of impact. We're now we got our first young folks into the program in April. We've seen great progress already. We've also seen great challenges. It's not easy. These are folks who have undergone a lot of trauma, and it takes a long time to develop that trust, but we're getting there. And what we're hoping is that we learn from this exercise that we're involved in. We help change these 10 lives, but then we're able to replicate this throughout the Richmond area, throughout Virginia, and maybe throughout the country. And it's the Impact 100 money that helped us get going. But the other thing it helped us do was have instant credibility for this project. When folks heard that we got this grant, they said, wow, you impressed all those really powerful, wonderful women who wanted to donate to this cause. This must be something that we need to listen to. And that's some of the impact that you're going to have tonight as well. Is not only is it going to be the cash that you're giving, which is very important, but it's the credibility that you're giving to these even the folks who are finalists, even if they don't get it. You're giving credibility to their cause, and that's going to give them an opportunity to go out and raise more money. And so what you're doing has a ripple effect throughout the community, and you should be very, very proud of what you're doing. You know, what we've seen with the Impact 100 in Richmond is it's become a very coveted, award, and what I think you'll find here is the same will be true, and I commend you all for doing it, and wish you the best of luck going forward. Thank you.
All right, we owe him another round of applause. He did come down. He also needs to call his wife on the way home and explain to her about the pink feathers over his jacket. So again, thank you very much. That's one of the things that we didn't emphasize tonight is the Richmond Community Foundation answered all of our questions. They told us how they did it, they told us what they did right and they did wrong, and they've been an amazing partner. To each of you, I would say if you know someone who lives in and around the Richmond community, and please share Impact 100 Richmond with them, because they are raising approximately $250,000 a year. If any of you know me, that's our goal next. That's our goal next. But this is a concept. This is a thought that is spread across the country. And we want it in every community, in every town, helping all the amazing people that you've heard in need tonight. And that's our goal. So Again, thank you for coming down. I'm looking to see how, Tracy, can you have a check on the vote? Will someone in the back ask the nonprofit presenters to please come back in? Okay, our presenters are coming back in. Yeah, does anyone have any questions?
Anybody have any questions about the Possibilities Project?
Yep, I think you can see there's some new community. All right, they're done. So presenters, I would say welcome y'all all to the front.
All the nonprofits, please come up front. Who were the presenters for the nonprofit? Please come up front. You can have a seat, you don't have to stand.
We need drum roll, we need music. Matthew, can you play music? Yeah. And I will say right now, thank you to all the nonprofits. And we recognize that our grant process was long. It was a lot of work. Thank you. For those of you who don't know, we had 26 grant proposals presented. And we narrowed it down to these 6, and that was a tough decision, a really, really tough decision. So these are the 6 best. All of them were very, very worth it.
You should be proud of yourselves and proud of your organizations. Even if you don't get it, your work is excellent. So congratulations on that one.
Courtney's going to sing and dance next. Here it comes. All right. Courtney and I fought about who gets to announce the checks. And we have to do it together. You ready? Ready? Yes. March. Go.
Center for Child and Family Services.
picture with both, with, I think the whole steering committee, so please stay up here. Guys, this was awesome. This was a hard vote. We have amazing nonprofits in the community, and I think it was said beautifully by our guest from Richmond that this is going to have ripple effects, whether you want or not. It's going to have ripple effects because you had exposure to 150 women who talk, who share, and are going to talk about you in the community. My ask of the women in this room tonight, whether you presented, whether you were one of our members, please sign up for next year. That's number one project. And you have membership forms. We welcome those. Number two, spread the word. Tell everybody what we're doing in the community, what the nonprofits are doing in the community, and let's get everybody in this peninsula involved. That's my mission. The third thing is the soft ask, and that is if there was a story that moved you, not only share it, call the nonprofits, get involved. They all will tell you that they need board members. Yes, they need money, but they need volunteer time and hours. Please reach out and support them. Other than that, thank you again for your support, your energy, your time, your money, your love. Go have a great night.
Thank you.
So just real quick, we want to thank Courtney and Brooke for all of their time, hard work, and effort